These disguises are getting very good. It does not bode well for our realm. If the other Fae can disguise themselves to look almost like a mortal, goodness, who knows what else they've been cooking up. Troubling. Maybe you'll be able to tell me something. Oh, good, you're waking up. Now you can answer all of my questions, little spy. You've got a very, very good disguise, but we found you anyway. It's not like you were trying to disguise yourself as a moss fae, so you were rather easy to pick out. So now you can tell me exactly who sent you and why you are here. What do you mean? What do I mean? You know exactly what I mean. You are a spy sent from one of the other Fae realms to spy on our home here in the Moss realm, aren't you? Here to learn about our lives, our weaknesses, so that you can exploit them and take over our realm for yourself. Don't bother denying it. It happens rather regularly, actually, so it's not like it's all that much of a surprise. But your disguise, that is a bit of a surprise. I'm not sure why you chose to disguise yourself as something that it's difficult to tell that you're even a fae at all, really. It doesn't seem very smart to stick out as much as you did. But I'm sure it's all part of some new, brilliant tactic that you other fae have been cooking up, right? You don't know what You do actually look genuinely confused. You're not a fae. Oh, certainly. Well then, what exactly are you? I know you're not a flower, and I know you're not a tree, and I know you're not a bubbling brook. So, what exactly are you if you're in the Fae realm and you are not a Fae? A mortal? Well, you do certainly look like a mortal, at least from the stories that we've been told, but what exactly are you doing in the Feywild, then? Don't you know this place is all chock full of dangers? Your patron. You have an archfey as a patron, and she just dropped you off here. Of course you were looking for treasure, you mortals. All very, very predictable. Well, that's a likely story, but I am not entirely sure that I believe you. What exactly would a mortal want to be doing in the Moss Fae realm? It's not like we have any particularly special treasure. Well, maybe we do. But I'm not going to tell you that because you are a spy for one of the other Fae realms. You're sticking to the mortal story, are you? Interesting. Well, I am not particularly good at telling if someone is being truthful with me or not, but luckily I have something that will be able to help me. There we are. You may be able to lie to me, but you cannot lie to the Orb of Truth. Now this item, seeing as you're not a moss fae, you probably don't know what this is, but this is a very ancient sort of magic derived from the earth, the deepest, darkest parts of the earth, where there is no deception, there is no lies or any sort of conniving plans. Everything is just as it always has been. So that power can be harnessed into a very, very powerful lie detector, really, I suppose. This little orb can see right into your mind. Now, it cannot actually read your mind. It's a bit more primal than that, I suppose. But it can tell me if your intentions are what you say they are, or whether I should be worried. So, I would like you to focus here, right in the centre of my Orb of Truth. You could try to look away if you would like, but it will still work either way. If you don't look at it, it might just make you very, very dizzy, and we wouldn't want that because I do still have lots of questions for you either way. But just look right here in the centre and tell me again that you are, in fact, a mortal. Really? You really are immortal? Are you stuck here? You said you had an archfey patron. Who exactly is your patron that just dropped you off here? Oh, she's awful. I'm so sorry that she's your patron. Of all the fae that you could have as a patron, she is, well, I suppose all of us fae like to play little tricks on the mortals now and then, but she is in a league of her own. She's, quite tricksy. She loves to promise all of these things, and she will deliver on her promises, but never in the way that you expect them. So she told you that there were great riches in the Feywild that you could possess for yourself. Yes, I'm sure she did. Well, unfortunately, you are not close to any treasures right now. You've wandered into a village in the Moss Fey realm, and unfortunately you've been immobilized for the time being. Sorry about that. I really did think that you were a spy with just a very, very convincing disguise. Spies? Oh, I wouldn't want to bore you with matters of the Fae, but I suppose since you're here, there are many different types of Fae that live in the Feywild. Some of them live in certain realms, some of them are a bit more enigmatic, but there are quite a few different areas, regions, realms within the Feywilds. There's the Fire Realm, the Flower Realm, the Midnight Realm, the Ice Realm. Oh, you've been there. You survived the Ice Realm, really? That's interesting. I thought it was far too cold for a mortal like you to actually live. Ah, you received some help from an Ice Fae. Interesting. They're rather, well, cold, I suppose. Don't generally take to strangers. You must have met a curious one. Well, all of these different realms, you would think that after insurmountable measures of time that we would learn to coexist, but that is not necessarily in the nature of the Fae. And the Moss Realm, where you are now, is clearly the best. It is in a very central location, and it also has beautiful, rich, fertile land. And unfortunately, some of the other Fae think that just because we Moss Fae are a bit less flashy and a bit less all over the place and tricksy and incredibly powerful all the time. We are powerful, just in a different way. But the other Fae tend to think that we are weak. Never mistaken people who like peace as just being weak. It takes a lot of strength to maintain peace, actually. But anyway, so there are those from other Fey realms who would like to possess this land for themselves and turn it into whatever terrain their own realm has. So we have to be on our guard at all times, unfortunately. But you apparently are not part of this battle. That's very good. Now, if you don't mind, my Orb of Truth did tell me that you are not in fact lying, but I would just like to run a few more tests, alright? You see, it's possible that you could actually be a spy, but you have been enchanted by another Fae to believe that you are immortal and not actually a spy, and then later they will perhaps awaken whatever magical abilities that you actually have as a Fae, or anything like that. Never underestimate the tricksiness of a Fae, so if you don't mind, I would like to just make sure that you don't have any other sort of enchantments on you, okay? Alright, it's very simple. You don't have to do anything. I'm just going to use my wand here and just see if I can detect any other sort of Fey magic. It might be a bit difficult because each Fey has their own style of magic, their own strengths of magic, their own weaknesses of magic. But this will be a good preliminary test, I suppose. Hopefully, I don't pick up on anything. Alright, could you try, please, to follow the tip of my wand a little bit here with your eyes? Just follow it very, very gently. Okay, I know I'm moving it a bit fast. It's alright, just do the best that you can, okay? Just follow that tip of that wand, right? No, I'm not picking up anything with this. It means it's not an obvious enchantment, but it does not necessarily mean that there isn't some other kind of enchantment. You know what, Tim? I need you to listen very, very closely, alright? Just listen. You don't hear anything? Are you sure? Really? How about on this side? Oh, well, this is a fairy bell. It makes a very, 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 very loud sound to every Fae except the one that owns it. So, if you were actually a Fae in disguise, this would have made a very piercing, awful sound that would have made you wince for certain. Yes, it would have been very, very, very difficult to not have reacted at all to hearing this very loud sound. It's perfectly fine for me. I just hear a very gentle ringing, like a little silver bell. But to anyone else, it works as sort of an alarm system, I suppose, in a way. So I would like you to just watch it now as it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Just do your best to follow it with your eyes. Just follow it with your eyes as it moves back and forth. It's alright, ignore my hand. Just follow the bell back and forth, back and forth. Interesting. Did you hear that? Okay. Did you hear that? Right. Interesting. Well, with that, I am convinced that you are not actually a Fae that has been enchanted to believe that they're not a Fae. So that's very, very good. But you could still be a spy that's been enchanted by a fae, and you just don't know it. Perhaps your archfey patron wishes to invade the Moss realm herself. What to do, what to do. I think I need a crystal. Hold on. Here we are. Alright, now this is a fairy crystal. It's a very, very special type of crystal. It's not the same as the lovely stones that you can find both in this realm and in your realm, I believe. This is, well, it's almost like a moment frozen in time. You see different fairies, all those little flittering ones that go around. They're a type of fae around here. They have a very, very strong connection to nature, and they have the ability to take a moment in time that captures their emotions very strongly in some way, and to encapsulate it into a crystal that will stand the test of time forever. It serves as a reminder of that particular moment, whether it's a moment of peace and happiness, or whether it's a moment of sadness or pain, and it's a lesson that you don't want to forget. But either way, it serves as a very powerful memory. Now, this particular fairy crystal I got from a water fairy. She is a very, very gentle soul, not like some of the other frivolous, flitty fairies that you might meet. She's very contemplative, I suppose, and she made this crystal herself at the exact moment when the sun just crested over a mountain range, and she was sitting on the shores of a beautiful, serene lake, and the first rays of sunlight caught the dew on the flowers near the shoreline, and they sparkled like millions of beautiful diamonds. That's what this particular crystal is. But what it actually is, the moment itself, doesn't really matter. What fairy crystals are good for? They serve as very powerful memories, but they can also help to return memories that have been taken from you, or restore memories that have been hidden somewhere deep inside your mind. So, if I use this crystal, you focus right here for me, I should be able to remove any sort of hex or curse or spell or trick that another fae may have used to erase your memory that you are in fact a spy. So I would like you to just focus on the very centre of this crystal, alright? I'm just going to bring it in nice and close to you. Right. Okay. Just keep focusing right there on the centre, alright? Just focus right on the centre. It might move closer to you or further away. Just focus right there on the centre of the crystal. Interesting. No, it's interesting because it's not doing anything. That's why it's interesting. Sometimes things are interesting when something happens that you didn't expect. Sometimes things are interesting because something doesn't happen that you did expect. And in this case, I expected this to have some sort of, well, reaction to a memory that has been concealed in some way. But it did not. Not at all. Do you remember anything? I mean, I didn't notice any sort of magical effects, but do you have any sort of memories back that you may have forgotten? Interesting. Alright. So it wasn't a memory spell or hex or trick or something like that. But that doesn't mean that we're entirely out of the clear. It could be some other method of mind control, maybe. Right. We're going to have to see what we can do about that. I think I'll need one of these. Maybe two of them. You see, as someone who has to be wary of others trying to steal their home, the Moss Fae have developed some very powerful tools to help us determine when someone is telling the truth or not, like the Orb of Truth, and also when someone is being controlled. For a while, the Fire Fae were very fond of capturing Moss Fae, especially the younger, very frivolous ones, and actually placing them under their control, but they didn't know it, and then they returned home, gathered all sorts of intel, and returned to the Fire Fae to report. It was a very, very sad day when we learned what was going on. So, our elders helped develop these little beauties in here. These are called witches' mushrooms. Now, when you see them, they are rather dark in colour, and some people see that as scary or spooky or evil in some way. But that's not the case at all. They're called witches' mushrooms because they have little hats on them almost that look like little witches' hats. But they are actually, instead of being dark, they help to illuminate a person's mind that has been placed under mind control. So they're very, very healing in their nature. They can help to remove any sort of psychic blocks or control. So, I'm just going to take one of these out and we'll see if they can detect anything like that, alright? There we are. See? Quite cute little mushrooms there. I keep them in with my diamonds because they are just as beautiful and just as valuable. Let's see, which of you wouldn't mind waking up for us today? I know, I haven't needed to use you in a while. You've probably been slumbering very peacefully. Well, do you think that you could perhaps assist us today, my dear? Alright, thank you. Then you can go back to sleeping, dreaming mushroomy dreams, whatever those might be. Alright, now, this little mushroom, I'm just going to need to place it very close to your mind, sort of at the temples on each side, alright? Just for a moment over here, and then for a moment over here. And if she detects any sort of mind control, then she can help to neutralize it, okay? Alright, so I'm just going to take this little friend here, and just going to closely over here, right by your temple, over here. Really? Alright. Well, let's move over to this side. You see, what do you think? Over here. Are you getting a good reading of mind there? Okay, and what do you think? Is there any sort of mind control, psychic attacks going on? Really? There's nothing at all. Are you absolutely sure? I know that you were just sleeping, so that's why I didn't need a second look. Get that and give you a second look. For sure. Right. Interesting. She says that you are not under any sort of mind control. That's quite good. Congratulations. Okay. Well, as promised, my dear, you can go slumber with your sisters once again, alright? Just tuck you in there with the diamonds. There. Are you nice and cozy again? Good. There we are. Thank you for your services, little witch mushrooms. Have a good sleep. Just carefully put them down. I wouldn't want to hurt them at all. Alright, well, apparently you have not had your memories altered, and you are not under any sort of mind control. That's very good, very good, very good. Do you feel like there's any sort of cloud over your mind? Interesting. No, not necessarily in a good way. Just in a way, I suppose. So, you really are just here because of your art fae. You're not here to harm us at all. Well, that's very good. I'm glad to hear that. You know, I've actually never met a mortal before. We've heard quite a lot of stories about you. Mostly about how foolish and dangerous you are, but I suppose we can be quite foolish and dangerous too. Would you mind, actually, if I just took a little bit of a closer look at you? See, I'm terribly curious what type of power you have as a mortal. No, not for any nefarious purposes, don't worry. I'm far too much of a homebody, I suppose. I don't like leaving the rest of my moss brothers and sisters. But I am just, well, I'm rather interested in learning new things. Who knows, maybe if we become friends, then if we do end up going to war with one of the other Fey realms, maybe the immortals can help us. You're right, maybe not. You're not nearly powerful enough for that. Alright, but if you wouldn't mind, I would love to just get to know you a little bit, alright? I have a measuring tape here. It looks very simple and plain, but it's going to measure quite a lot of different things. It's not just measuring you physically. It's also going to measure things like your strength, your charisma, your intelligence, things like that as well, right? Your wisdom, all those kinds of things. It's going to give me a little bit of an idea of, well, I suppose how powerful you are, but also what you're good at and what you maybe are less good at. Right. Is that okay with you? Alright, well, I mean, you're here still until this immobilization spell wears off, so it's not like you could really stop me. But I wanted to ask, just in case. Alright, so you don't have to do anything, which is good because you can't. Just hold nice and still, right? Not that you have a choice. Interesting. her as wanting to go to the mortal plane. Interesting. Well, that's not at all what I expected. No, it's not a good thing. No, it's perfectly fine. It doesn't really matter one way or another. I'm just, as I said, a bit curious. I'm just going to write those down, alright? Yeah, just taking some notes here. Strength. Charisma. Interesting. What sort of creature are you, by the way? I know that you're immortal, but there's lots of different types of mortals, right? So what exactly is your species or your whatever it's called? Oh, interesting, right. Would you consider yourself rather powerful among the mortals, or would you say that your species is a little less powerful? I don't mean to be offensive, I just am curious to know if you're sort of an average power, or if there are those that are more powerful than you. Alright, sure, that's fair. Interesting. What other sorts of species are there in your realm? Oh yes, I've heard about those ones, yes. They seem quite scary. What other ones? Oh, that sounds cute. Not cute, oh. Okay. Interesting. If you had to pick one mortal species that was more powerful than all the others, which would you say? Oh, I've heard of them. I think, well, according to my elders, they actually used to reside here in the Feywild. Some of them still do, but it's rather rare. Interesting, right? What would you say would be the weakest? As far as, sentient beings, not necessarily all the animals and things like that, but just a sentient creature. What would you say is the weakest? Well, the weakest in different ways, yeah, alright. I mean, you can break it down for me if you want, but you can also just sort of average weakness level among all of the different species. You're right, that's sort of a strange question to ask. Well, do you have any thoughts? Okay. Oh, interesting. So would you say they're weak across the board, or are there some elements that they are very skilled in? That makes sense, alright. Interesting. Got to be a balance, Wouldn't want any one species to be particularly overpowered. Otherwise that species would rule the entire mortal plane, wouldn't they? Like the Archfey here. Don't tell your patron I said that. I'm so sorry, I misspoke. Although she's awful anyway. You can tell her I said that, I suppose. She would probably just think it's funny. Interesting. Anything else that you think that someone who's never been to the mortal plane should know about the mortal plane? You're right, that's a very broad question. Never mind. Okay. I'm terribly curious because I've never been there. I've never met one of you before. I know that I've immobilized you so that you cannot move, but you do still look very, very tired. I would assume that you've had some hardships since you've gotten here. Has your Archfey reached out to help you at all in some of those challenges of being a mortal in the Feywild? Typical her. Well, if you would like, I suppose I could try to help ease some of the burden. I cannot, well, I wouldn't want to give you any power that you wouldn't be able to control. but I could perhaps just sort of help to balance your energy a little bit and maybe help to restore some of that energy. Does that sound good? Sure. No, I don't mind. You're stuck here anyway, and it's my fault, so I might as well. Have you seen one of these before? That's right. This is a selenite crystal that has been imbued with very, very powerful magic from the Moss Bay elders. And it's also got little crystals on here that coincide with different energy points on the body. Now, of course, there's more energy points than just this, but these are sort of the main ones, at least that most people know about. You ever heard of the chakras before? Alright, so you're not completely in the dark, that's good. Anyway, this little wand is very, very good at assessing your energy and helping to realign, removing any sort of blocks and rebalancing your chakras. You see this one, the red stone here, that has to do with your root chakra. Those are feelings of being grounded, being secure, having your physical needs met, which might be something that you're not experiencing now. So if you're feeling uncertain about your safety, then perhaps your root chakra is blocked. And then this one is your heart chakra, the little green one in the middle there. And that one has to do with feelings of love, self-love, understanding, empathy, things like that. And sometimes being hurt, being betrayed, can cause a blockage there. So since your Art Fae patron is terrible, as has not helped you at all, perhaps you're feeling feelings of betrayal, and then your heart chakra may be blocked, and so on. You know, they're all different ones, but all of them have to do with a different sort of being, I suppose. Being secure, being creative, being confident, being loved, being able to communicate, being observant, all those kinds of things, alright? So I'm just going to take this and just very gently pass it over you, all the way down. I see. Right. Yes, it seems as though all of your chakra are quite out of balance, aren't they? Alright, just going to move this. There we are. Just see if we can get this to rebalance a little bit, alright? A little bit. Just rebalance a little bit. There we are. It looks as though your energy is definitely starting to balance out a little bit. Unfortunately, not entirely. It might take a little bit of time, but that's alright. We're getting there. We're getting much closer, I think, to you being a bit more balanced. And then hopefully when you leave this place, you'll be able to find what you're looking for. Treasure, right? Oh, a way home. I'm not entirely sure how to do that. I suppose I could ask my elders for you, although sometimes between you and me, I think the elders like to let on that they know things, and they don't actually know things. Don't tell them I said that, but that's alright. Okay, now, in order to balance your energy just a little bit more, I'd also like to use one of these. Do you know what this is? That's right, it's a feather from a Pegasus. Very well done. You must have seen one of these before. Ah, I see. Well, as I'm sure even in the mortal realm you know, a Pegasus is a creature that is very, very pure. They are powerful in their own right, but they are more of an image of freedom, of being your whole self, and being untouched by the weights and the worries of the land. And a Pegasus feather is a wonderful tool for helping to calm and purify anxious or negative energy. Alright, so I'm just going to take this, alright, and just pass it over you very gently. There we go. Good. Just focus on thoughts of peace and balance. You're in a good place to think about peace and balance with the Moss Fae here. Peace and balance and purity. Peace and balance and purity. There. Does that feel a bit better? Good. Good. I'm very glad to hear it. Just brush, 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 There we are. Does that feel a bit more balanced and peaceful? Good, 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 good. Well, I think that you're looking like you could use a bit of a rest. You mortals need to rest quite a lot, don't you? Very inefficient, but that's alright. Well, then perhaps I will leave you for a little while so that you can get some rest while you're here, immobilized. Sorry about that again. But maybe I'll talk to my elders and see if they know a portal back to the mortal realm for you, alright? But don't you worry about that now. You're at least somewhere where you are safe. We will not be frozen to death or burned to death or any of those other awful ways to die in the Fey realm. So, you just get some rest, alright? Maybe tomorrow we can work on getting you alright. Good night, little